What's up, guys? How we all doing? It's like February and I think I missed making a video for January on the Baja. I'm sorry. I know I was supposed to make one video per month. That was part of the rules. However, there has been a major delay in our build for January. We ran into a lot of issues. I'll get to that here in a few. I want to show you guys what we've done so far. But I'll explain why we're a little late this month in getting out a video. So we're going to try to make another video here in February to kind of make up for it. Yada, yada, yada. Anyways, so Baja time, right? 1/5 scale. We're finally starting to get somewhere with it. We've got some stuff built up. You guys may have seen the pictures if you've been following me on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter. I've been posting up a few pictures, little tidbits here and there. So today I finally got around to making a video for you guys, and this is kind of where we are at with the Baja. Still not anything special. However, I have fully built the front end except for one piece that we are going to get to. I will explain that part in another video once we get to it. I don't want to confuse you guys right away, but for the most part the front end of the Baja is fully built. So let's talk about that a little bit, shall we? Have you guys do a quick 360 here. Pretty cool. Awesome. I'll be honest, at first, with the white control arms, I was a little concerned that... Here, let's just take this cover off because it's not holding on to anything at the moment. I was a little concerned with the white control arms if they would just stand out too much or if they wouldn't look right with everything. But as I'm kind of putting things together a little bit here, the white is actually growing on me a little bit. So I think we're going to leave it white for right now. If we do decide to change it, it'll be later on. Once we get the whole car kind of built, kind of see where we're at, how things are looking color-wise, scheme-wise. But I think the white control arms look okay for now. I think they actually look pretty cool. It makes it look a little different. So, let's talk a little bit about what's going on here, right? So, let's start with the top. We have a GPM Racing Aluminum shock tower. Now this is a 3-piece shock tower. It mounts exactly the same way as the stock shock tower does. Nothing fancy about it, just 3 separate pieces you got to bolt together. The shocks are the original shocks, right? Nothing fancy there. However, the shocks we took completely apart. We rebuilt them from the ground up using all new O-rings, new springs. This even goes for the rear ones as well. We cleaned them up as best we could. You know, we wanted to save a little bit of money on this build, so we didn't want to do any massive upgrades on the shocks when these are perfectly fine. So again, we rebuilt them, put some new springs in there, put some new fluid in. I'm happy with it. Also, Bret wants to later on upgrade the shocks, so we weren't that concerned with replacing them right away, because we weren't sure what we wanted to get. And these stock ones still look perfectly fine in there, and it kind of goes well with the color scheme so far. So, before you guys even make a mention, how come you don't have your shock boots on there? I'm going to tell you why we don't have the shock boots on. The reason we don't have the shock boots on are for a couple of different reasons. One, most shocks don't have shock boots, right? Most of them don't. 1/10 scale anyways. Second of all, we wanted to save some money by not replacing them, and most of them that were on here were torn, had way too much grease and oil on it, that it was just too much to clean, so we decided to just get rid of them. And again, Bret's going to later on upgrade the shocks on this thing, so we're not that concerned with damaging it a little bit from rocks and dirt and debris and everything else like that. So for now, it's mostly a cosmetic look, why we took the boots off down here. So that's why, okay? I know it's there for protection. I know, I get that. But again, we're aiming on later on after this build series to replace the shocks. And again, for cosmetic looks, it looks fine on there. Actually, it looks better, in my opinion. We got some new hardware put in from our hardware kit that we got. New E-clips, make sure everything's good to go. Got some aluminum knuckles, all right? Let's see if I can't get that more in the light. These are gunmetal knuckles, okay? Gunmetal color, not the silver like this, right? Pretty close color matching wise. So we replaced those. Put some Acer Racing ceramic bearings in this for the wheels, right? Nice. So, and then I decided just for the looks of the video anyways right now, I figured I'd mount up the Proline wheels. These are the Proline bow ties. These things are insane. I mean, look at those tires. The tread on this thing is nuts. This thing is just gonna grab and go. Grab and go. Woo! We did not replace the pivot balls because those were perfectly fine. Just need a little bit of cleaning. Where the pivot balls go in on the upper knuckles here, those are still perfectly fine. There's really not any massive play in them. It wasn't enough to make us concerned in replacing those. So that's it for the front end. New shock tower, shocks rebuilt, control arms, knuckles, bearings, and new hardware all the way through, right? And for those of you guys that may question how big these tires are, these tires are 2.47 wide, right? 2.47, so almost 2.5 inches wide, by 6.8 inches tall. So the height of this tire is almost 7 inches tall, okay? I mean, that's a big tire. Thing's huge. Wait till you see the rears. Mounting that up to the chassis soon. We got to do a little bit of work to the chassis. Here is our chassis. As you guys can see, this is the stock chassis that came with it. We stripped all the paint off of it using some degreaser. Got, I believe it was Fast Lightning, I think is what it's called, degreaser. You put it in there, let it sit for a while. I scrubbed it, helped get a lot of the stuff out of there. And as you guys can see, there's no more of that stock gunmetal color or dark gray color that's on there. So all we got left to do is actually polish this aluminum up to make it shine so we can get it as close looking as this front shock tower. So we got some work to do. This is dirty, so we'll clean that up, take care of that. There's a few other pieces like the rear half of the chassis where the motor and the transmission mount to that we're also doing the same thing. That I will be doing at least by the next video. You guys will see that all said and done. I wish I could show you guys exactly the process of doing it. However, me stripping the paint and polishing it, this is the first time I'm doing it, so I need to take my time. I want it to come out well. I promise in future videos when I do this again, I will make sure to do a step-by-step for you guys. However, there's plenty of articles online right now of how to do that, stripping the paint off of it and polishing it up. So I encourage you guys to go check out other YouTube channels. I'm that kind of guy that says go check them out. Trust me. There's plenty of people that do all this other stuff as well. And I'm a supporter of everybody's channel. So until I make my videos here in the future, go check them out. We also got some work done to the transmission. Check this guy out. It's beefy. Beefy transmission, right? This thing is huge. This is GPM's aluminum transmission case. Thought it went well with the color scheme. And we put all new ceramic, Acer Racing ceramic bearings inside of this thing, right? Ooh. Nice and smooth. As you guys see, I'm going to post up a picture here real quick to show you guys what the gears look like after everything was all said and done and being cleaned. So you guys can get an idea as to what it looks like in here. We did replace the differential fluid inside of it, replace the seal on the differential so that way it wouldn't leak in the future. Anytime you take the part of differential, if it's got seals, replace the seals. Most differentials have them, so it's a good idea to replace that seal, prevent any leaking and having to re-tear it all back down again. So, did that, put it all back together. As far as what differential fluid I put in this, put in 5,000, okay? Now, I know I went on to like 3 different forums to find out what kind of diff fluid this thing takes. And some people were saying to use 1,000 weight. Some people were even saying to use up to 10,000 weight diff fluid. So, you know, just from my experience of driving cars and how I like to drive them and seeing how Bret drives his cars, I figured we'd stick around to a nice middleman. So I put in 5,000 diff fluid. Now, to me, it feels great in there. It's still really loose, but at the same time, there's a little bit of resistance in there to kind of help us have a posy differential setup, in a sense. Having both wheels spinning when we gun it to get that rooster tailing effect that we want. That way, and when we go into a corner, we can possibly slide this thing a little bit, get those cool shots. So we put in 5,000. But again, that should also be okay, at least starting out with, for even when we're doing high-speed cornering and whatnot. Should still allow the spider gears inside to work how they're supposed to for the cornering and whatnot. If we find out that it's too much or too less, at least this is a good starting point, and we can either put in thicker diff fluid, or we can put in less thicker diff fluid. Thinner diff fluid. So, that is where we are at right now. Nothing major really got done to this at the moment. We're hoping here in February to get a lot more done, at least a rolling chassis by that point, and then we can work on all the other little odds and ends. That's the goal anyways. That was also our goal for January, but that didn't happen. Some of you guys are probably wondering why that didn't happen. Let me drink some of my coffee real quick here and explain it all to you. When we set this whole thing up, we had a couple of sponsors coming in to help us out with this build. And I will be perfectly honest in saying that yes, we have sponsors in on this build. Thanks to Dark Sharks for his help in trying to get a lot of these sponsors put together to make this build series happen. And so it was really cool to get a bunch of these companies in to help us out make these cool trucks between me and Dark Sharks here. However, last month, when we created our list of parts that we wanted to get, we sent them over to Acer Tees, and they talked to the vendors and the manufacturers of these parts to get us some parts in for the first month. We'll get more in here next month, and so forth for each month. However, unfortunately, in a bad circumstance, GPM Racing, that supplied all of the aluminum upgrades that we have, and I do have more things over here. I will grab some of them. GPM Racing sent us a whole bunch of aluminum parts, right? We got an aluminum clutch bell housing for the motor. We got the clutch holder for the motor in aluminum. Shock tower, rear knuckles, right? Except there was one problem. We wanted all of our aluminum pieces to be in silver or polished aluminum, right? GPM considers it silver, but I call it polished aluminum because it looks polished to me. So that was our goal. That's our theme, was to get everything aluminum and polished silver that we wanted. However, when I received the first package of all the parts, half the parts were polished aluminum, the other half was gunmetal, and I even got one oddball in blue, the rear shock tower. So I'm like scratching my head going, what's going on here? You know, did I screw up on the part numbers? So I talked to Acer Tees a little bit, they talked to GPM, come to basically find out GPM had discontinued all the colors that they gave us in gunmetal and that blue. They discontinued it in silver, so they sent us what they had left. Ouch. That stunk, because I wish I had known that ahead of time, because I would have changed my color, because come to find out, GPM still has everything in gunmetal. We would have switched all the colors over to gunmetal. So, yeah, that sucked, but you know what? Hey, it's a competition. Things are going to happen, and you got to know how to deal with it, and you got to move on. You got to make the best of it, right? So, after almost a month of going back and forth, because I live in the East Coast, and Acer Tees is out in China, so they email me when I'm sleeping at night, and I email them during the day when they're asleep. So it takes a while for emails to come back and forth and figuring out what's going on, what are we going to do here. So it took about a month, honestly, for us to figure out what was going on here and how we wanted to resolve it. But it's going to basically come out to be We're leaving the parts. Whatever is in gunmetal, we're leaving. Like this upper roof panel, as you guys can see, is in gunmetal, right? The front knuckles are in gunmetal, right? The rear knuckles are in silver. Thankfully, you guys aren't going to see the knuckles and the rear hubs that often because the tires are going to be covering it more often than not. And they're not that off in color, honestly, because of how shiny they are, really. The only part that we are going to have difficulty with, and which we still have to pick up, is these rear shock towers, because the blue is just not going to work for our theme right now. However, we may decide to strip it and polish it up. That's a possibility. We'll let you guys know when we get to the rear end and build that up. Like I was saying, it basically came down to we are just leaving the parts the way they are. We're going to make this Baja look as good as it is with the colors that we have, because, you know, silver and gunmetal really isn't that far off. I mean, look, you got a silver shock tower, but you have gunmetal knuckles. It's not that far off in the color scheme of things, right? It's really not that far off. And I think in the overall aspect, especially with having gunmetal shocks on here, I think it's going to be okay. Now, show you guys something here. This is the transmission. This will go great with the polished panel, right? Oh, let's slide all this stuff down because I want to show you guys something. This is something I was playing around with last night to kind of get an idea, a feel for how this thing's going to look, right? This is kind of what it's looking like. Something like that. And I think as the overall theme, especially when this is polished up and we get the rest of the colors in here, the rest of the silver and the gunmetal, I think this is going to be an overall great looking truck. You know, it's just a matter of time when things start really coming together and we start seeing how this whole process looks. We'll have a better idea of how it's going to look. But for right now, I think it's going to look great. I'll leave this just like this for right now. So, that is why I struggled a little bit in trying to get a video out for you guys, and it took me a while to get this whole thing together. We still have a lot more to do. Like I said, by the end of February, I'm hoping to have this thing as a fully rolling chassis. Maybe with some other things put on it as well. We got motor stuff coming. We got other little odds and ends. We got some carbon fiber parts coming in. We got a lot to do in this, and we don't have much time left. Alright guys, thank you guys for watching. Gives you guys a little bit of an idea as far as where we are at with the Baja. Again, hopefully next video or two you guys will start seeing a lot more things coming together. We are waiting for more parts. I believe as of today, the day of this filming, Asia T is sending us out some more goodies to get this done. So hopefully here in the next week or two we should see those parts. And we can get some more good things going. And then we can make more videos with this. Right? More videos. Woo! Alright guys. That's it for now. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any questions about anything that I've done in this video, I'm going to make a long description in the description box along with all the parts that I discussed in here as far as accessory parts go. But if you do have any questions, feel free to leave me a comment in the comment box below, and I will try to answer it as quickly as I possibly can. Also look out, because I just came up with this idea just now while we were talking. I think it'd be a great idea. We may even do a live event here this month here in February while me and Bret are here working on the Baja. So if we decide to do that, stick around. I'll make some posts on Twitter and Facebook and let everybody know that we're going to do that so we can get all you guys in on a live hangout while you watch us put this thing together. That'll be one of the videos. That'll be cool, right? Yeah. Awesome. Woo! This year's going to be crazy, you guys. It's going to be crazy. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you guys next time on the next RC Overload. See ya.